Welcome back. The African Development Bank is expected to host an investment forum on its special agro-industrial processing zones initiative in Abuja, Nigeria next week, Tuesday. SAPs are designed to concentrate on agro-processing activities within areas of high agricultural potential in order to increase productivity and competitiveness. The forum will update stakeholders on the progress of establishing SAPs and to secure the commitment of key agribusiness companies and the banks in planning, investment and implementation of priority SAPs in Nigeria. The bank, together with its development partners, is investing heavily in these projects in order to rapidly scale up agricultural production. In Kenya's economy grew by 6.3% in 2018 from 4.9% recorded the previous year. The East African nation's National Bureau of Statistics attributes the growth to adequate rainfall, which spurred agriculture, which accounts for close to a third of the country's annual economic output. The manufacturing sector expanded 4.7% compared with a revised 0.5% increase in 2017, while inflation was 4.7% in 2018 from 8% a year earlier. The deficit on the current account narrowed to 441 billion shillings at the end of 2018 from 518.9 billion shillings a year earlier. The Central African Republic and China have vowed to deepen relations of friendly cooperation amid efforts to implement the important consensus reached by the two heads of state and the outcomes of the Beijing summit of the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation. The relationship between the CAR and China has progressed smoothly in areas such as economy and trade, and exchanges between people on various levels are moving forward in an orderly fashion. The vice chairperson of the National Committee of the Chinese People Political Consultative Conference says that China remains committed to supporting the CAR's peace progress. Now let's get a wrap-up of weekly activities at the South African markets, and we're being joined by our correspondent Becky Malley, who's here to give us more updates on that. Good to see you, Becky.
Good afternoon.
So how has the market fared this week?
Well, since this morning, the South African rand is a bit stronger compared to the way it was yesterday against the US dollar, of course. And we also saw the bonds weakening a bit. But one of the biggest story that everyone is talking about today is the matter of the network providers, MTN and Vodacom, which are one of the biggest providers in SA, where the Competition Commission has actually issued a statement saying they are overcharging South Africans when it comes to data. And this has been due to the fact that it has discovered that in South Africa, you pay about 159 rand for 1 gig of data, which is approximately about 4,000 naira. While in Nigeria, for the same amount of data, you are paying around about 8,000 naira. So those are the big, but then they haven't really gotten back and made a public statement as to how are the allegations or what are they going to do moving forward. And then again, in the retail sector, we have seen a slight increase in profits in one of the biggest food suppliers, Pick n Pay, has gotten an 18% increase in profits compared to last year. And in the mining sector, one of the biggest mining company, Anglo American, has lost about 6% of production due to the power shortages and sometimes the power outages of the power provider Eskom. And Eskom is still like in a very bad state, because where it stands currently, Eskom's debts are at about 419 billion. And the minister came out to say that no, the issue of Eskom is still severe, so there is really no way that the issue can be fixed now. And when it comes to the markets, the oil share index also had a downfall this morning. They dropped at about 0.27%, and the JSE Top 40 dropped by 0.22%.
So we see the markets down today, but what's the outlook for next week? Are we likely to see things change?
Most likely, but then next week there's quite a lot of things happening around the country next week. We see next week we're drawing closer to the elections, so we don't know what the turnout of that will be. And also we just experienced floods in some parts of the country, so we are yet to know next week how the outcome will be, whether the financial costs around all of that. And as well, around next week or the other week, we are getting a fuel increase in South Africa, another one. So we are yet to see what is going to happen in the market. But on a more positive outlook of next week, we see that China and South Africa have reached some sort of common ground, and China is ready and willing to put more money into South Africa when they do finalize their deal. But other than that, the markets are steady, and we hope the rand can keep steady and probably grow by next week, and people will gain a bit more confidence towards the election.
Fingers crossed, Becky. Thanks for giving us those updates, and do have a great weekend.
Thank you, Yetun.
In other news now, a shop in Cairo district is selling garments by international brands by the kilogram, bringing an array of foreign cuts and designs to Egyptians for more affordable prices. Kilo Stock sells clothes at relatively cheaper prices compared to what they would have cost at the brand shop itself.
Brands such as Zara, Adidas, Nike and Marks & Spencer are out of reach for many Egyptians, but a store in one of Cairo's lower-income districts is making these products more affordable. Kilo Stock sells clothes by the kilogram, trading garments at relatively inexpensive prices compared to what they would have cost at the brand shop itself, according to customers. Customer Herber was so pleased with her experience to describe the prices and variety as unimaginable.
When I first came here, I had heard about the clothes per kilo and wanted to come see what it was and what prices were like. I came here and found that prices were really good, that there were brands with unimaginable prices. I can buy something from abroad that would cost 500 or 600 Egyptian pounds. Here I found it for 30 and 40 Egyptian pounds.
Customers at the store browse through the clothing on display, then take them to a scale at the cashier's desk, where they weigh the clothes to know how much the pile would cost. The clothes on the racks at Kilo Stock come from the surplus of various brands that are left behind after the end of the fashion season, said shop manager Gerber Reeder.
Here you can find something that is unused, that has not been washed or worn. These, however, are the surplus of European shops. They arrive with their own tags, they are original, they are all of great quality, with no flaws whatsoever. They are, however, the surplus of European stores. For example, the season can come to an end, like the 2018 season. The surplus of the season is then collected and sold by the kilogram. We receive it here and also sell it by the kilogram.
Plus items are first sold to traders by the kilogram. Kilo Stock does the same, selling items to customers by weight. The process of weighing and pricing clothes is not, however, sporadic. For example, a kilogram of clothes costs less during winter due to the natural heaviness of winter products. During summertime, shorts and T-shirts weigh less, so prices are adjusted to reflect that. Egypt is committed to the reforms under a $12 billion IMF loan deal agreed in 2016 and aimed at attracting foreign investment. Under the program, the government devalued the currency and has been gradually cutting few subsidies, putting tens of millions of Egyptians under strain as costs of living rise.
Nice. And that's our show today. Thank you for watching. I am Bisi Adebayo.